So an incredibly grim night for Irish football, a 4-1 defeat to Wales that, to be honest, could have been a whole lot worse. They missed a whole host of chances in the second half. Gary Breen was alongside me on commentary on Off the Ball this evening. How do you sum that up? Just how bad was it?
Very difficult to sum it up, to be perfectly honest. Listen, let's not take anything away from Wales. They were very, very impressive. Ryan Giggs looks like he's coached that team well. I know they have superstar player in Gareth Bale and top Premier League players in Allen, Ramsey, those type of guys, Davies even. But even their young players who were playing only at championship level were so impressive.
Ethan Ampadu, 17 years of age, ran the show there.
He literally did in terms of the hour or so that he played. He played at the base of that midfield. He got on the half turn. He was playing probing balls through the midfield, breaking our lines. And if we narrowed up and were honest as a defensive unit, he then had the ability to play big diagonal balls. He robbed Jonathan Waltz with great strength and then drove forward and made a perfect pass to release Ramsey for that second goal, I think. Having said all that, I think our players have played below their capabilities. There's no doubt about that, and we may well argue. Well, listen, we may well argue and identify how poorly organised they are, but nevertheless, I think Martin O'Neill and the coaching staff can rightly turn around to the players and say, "You haven't performed anywhere near your capabilities."
But you were very impressed with Wales, their organisation. There's a new manager, the way they were trying to play it out of the back, their movement in midfield, in defence. We don't see any of that, and we haven't seen an improvement in it from the 5-1 defeat against Denmark. Like Conor Hourihane today, waiting for this opportunity, plays in a two-man midfield against three quality players. They're being hung out to dry.
In terms of Ramsey coming in from that 10 area and beefing up their midfield in a way that Robinson didn't do and didn't understand how he was expected to do it, that was the problem in his inexperience, sorry. But you could just see that they were able to pass where they wanted to pass. Everyone knew their role, and that will be the accusation that is aimed at the Irish players now. Do they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing every time they walk onto that pitch? I'm not convinced. I could see what they were trying to do, and you may well identify, and I think a lot of supporters will be saying about the drubbing at Denmark, but even in our successful results, our ball retention has been woeful for an international side anyway. Let's not forget the likes of Georgia have dominated possession home and away against us. So this has not been a surprise, and I think at times our great character, the determination, the drive, the never say die attitude of our players has got us unbelievable results. But at times we have lacked ability at this level.
Martin O'Neill's going to come under huge pressure over the coming days. There's going to be a lot of question marks about whether he and Roy Keane are the men to lead Irish football into the Euro 2020 qualifiers, even into next month's home games against Denmark and Wales. I know you're not the type of pundit who likes to call for a manager to be fired, but with all the nonsense that's happened off the pitch over the last couple of weeks and that type of performance, 9 goals conceded in our last 2 competitive games, does it feel from the outside as though we need a fresh voice, something different?
Well, listen, in terms of what's happened away from the pitch, that will certainly be used as a stick to beat the dream team as it's such, in terms of the criticism from the supporters. But ultimately they'll look at what they're seeing on the pitch, and I think they'll probably say, okay, after the drubbing of Denmark, Martin O'Neill talked about a new era, bringing these young players through or such, or changing the way to try and get us more competitive. But I've seen none of that, to be perfectly honest, and I'll never call for a manager to lose their job as such, because we're talking about Martin O'Neill's huge experience, Roy Keane's unbelievable experience as well. These are serial winners. So you'll look at them and think they must be able to find the answer to what the problems we have at the moment.
There's no sign of it.
There hasn't been, and that's the issue. I think supporters will now say, well, listen, people may argue now that Martin O'Neill is a tired manager as such. That will be the argument because of his age. It's up to Martin to prove that he's not as such, because you think about his success with Leicester, with Villa, with Celtic, it's a long time ago now as such. And I would argue that I do believe, despite everyone talking about the lack of depth in our squad, I do believe these players are capable of more.
All right, Gary, great stuff as always.